Hello everybody, my name is MadCat117, aka Pyrodrive, bringing you the best with FL Studio tutorials from a beginner. Don't let that phase you at all. All jokes aside, welcome back. Today we will be learning something a bit more complex, particularly for a few people that requested it. We're going to experiment with instrument modulation. Now, this can be a very difficult task in some cases with some instruments because not all instruments work the same, but have the same working concept. It's kind of hard to understand, perhaps, but you will understand, perhaps, when I explain it like this. This instrument is called Inferno. I have left it stock, and this is what it sounds like. Now, for this instrument, that's kind of low in pitch. So what you can do is A, don't let the fact that an instrument sounding too low get to your head, because some instruments sound really good at lower notes. However, let's just say that you wanted to do something different. One of the things you could do, other than adjusting the master pitch, is by using this pitch. This is the master pitch for this instrument only. This plug-in right here, this plug-in right here will be the only one affected if you adjust this. Now, it's measured in semitones. Every 12 semitones is 1 octave. That means if you have a C4 here, you will have a C5 here, a C6 here, and a C7 here. So, I started at the very bottom. So what you could do is move the slider up and adjust it to however you want it to sound. Now, that was kind of sloppy sounding, to me at least. So what you can do is, this is your basic X-axis, Y-axis modulator. So the instructions are down here by certain developers. Very nice. And you can move this however way you want, and it will adjust and modulate the sound of the instrument. So, didn't like the way this sounded? No problem. You can simply drag it down to the left and give it a deeper tone. What I like to do is I like to keep it really low, and I like to play it like this. Now, you may have saw me pull up Op 1. This is operator 1. You can get into so many more complex settings with this, and I really don't encourage it unless you know what you're doing, because you can ruin the sound of the instrument. It's not permanent, and it will still work, but you may ruin that perfect sound that you want for a specific track. So we will get into this a little bit later. So, when it comes to instrument modulation, the most important thing to consider is what sounds good to you. What pitch do you want? What note do you want to have it placed at? What root do you want to use? With modulation, you can do pretty much whatever the hell you want to with it. These are also different frequencies. This right here will be bass. You may not have noticed much, but if you did, you may have noticed that when I vamped this all the way up, it started to get a little quieter because the bass limiter was being exceeded and had to cut down on that frequency. And then you have equalizer band 2. Basically, if you're not familiar with this, think of the old 1970s Radio Flyer radios with no bass, no treble, just... yeah, those kind of radios. Maximum mid-frequency, no treble, and no bass whatsoever. Then that sucks. So you want a nice even distribution, or slightly less if you don't want as high, if you don't want higher frequency sounds to be heard or canceled out. That's okay. That's part of audio mastering, which is extremely difficult. Sometimes I always have this issue. I'm still learning audio mastering and equalization. I still have trouble with that. I'll just tell you guys what I know. So again, do what you think sounds right. So for me, this 175 would be the speed of happy hardcore. For me, that's too slow. I prefer 190. Now, though it's only 15 beats per minute, it makes a hell of a difference. So, what you can also do with modulation is you can also speed it up by tuning it or detune it. Detuning the Inferno instrument is awful. That's really not the sound you're looking for, unless you're looking for sloppy sound. The lower you bring the modulator, the faster the instrument plays in the sense of sound wave speed. The farther to the right you bring it, it will more or less kind of bring up the pitch in the sense. Without really bringing up the pitch, it's kind of hard to explain. So you want a nice even balance of tuning, pitch, and if you want to go low, tuning and low. So, this is just volume. You don't mess with the master LFO level because any increment or decrement you add will ruin the sound of the instrument. So now we can get into the more complex bit while we still can. So this is the actual shape of the wave that goes into your ears. You cannot see sound waves, but this is what the computer generates, and this is the shape of the sound. You can edit certain portions of the sound and view certain portions of the sound by clicking on these three tabs. I just prefer to leave it like this. So what I like to do is I like to have the tension quite high, well actually quite low, because that's too much of a square wave for me. It just gives kind of an odd sound to me. I like a very straight kind of wave. It's very sharp. It comes to a very sharp point. So thank you everybody so much for watching.